What is going on, crew? Welcome back to the Boardroom Podcast, where we're here to help you stay calm, change lives, and have business on your terms. Now, I am here with we're doing an what is that thing called when you're doing when you're having an encore session with Dan Suckling. He's been on the show before, and we had a really great conversation, but a lot of you guys are new here and you don't know who Dan is, but Dan is a guy who we were running fitness masterminds, and that when I was running Systems by Design, we're competing, not really competing because we're offering very different things. But I love watching what he was doing, and I'd funnel hack him here and there, get some inspiration. And like, man, I love how he's positioning his offer. I love like how polarizing some of his messages would be. I'm like, man, this guy is doing it right. So a guy that I admire from afar, but now we got to work together. We're doing a few things together. And he's radically changed the way he's running his business in a way that very few people have been able to successfully pull off, right? So I wanted to have him on and talk about that, because he went from high ticket. When I say high ticket, I mean like premium high ticket especially for the space, right? 10 to like 20K offers, to pure subscription, having a sales team, having a big team, to no sales teams, not taking a single sales call, and everything being done via his automated client getting system. So Dan, I want to dive into a lot of those things, but for those who don't know who you are, let's dive into your background a little bit. Like, how did you get to doing what you're doing now?
Sure. First of all, thanks so much for having me back, man. It's always a pleasure to be here. So I basically got started back in 2016, where I started my first online fitness business called MindSharp Fitness and Nutrition. And at the time, didn't know what a funnel was, didn't know anything about anything. And so my whole strategy was I'd go into these community Facebook groups and buy, sell, swap Facebook groups all around New Zealand. I'd join all of them. And every 48 hours, I'd post in 20 of these groups, because any more than that, I'd get restricted. I had no niche, no real offer. It was just like a collage of before and after photos. I'm looking for 10 people who want to lose weight, tone up, blah, blah, blah. People would just submit a jot form, and it's pretty much a cold call. As you can imagine, this rejection after rejection. But through that, I ended up generating about $4,000 a week recurring, and even like ended up running a retreat. And it was so mind-blowing looking back, because it was like all of these people at this retreat, it just came from this like random Facebook group. And then I saw an ad online from a guy called Lynn Trin. He had a program called the 1%. And jumped on a call with him. He pitched me $8,000. I couldn't believe it. It was the first call I've ever been on with a mentor. I thought it was gonna be like $2,000. And I told him, I was like, I can't afford that. And he's like, what are you gonna do? And I pondered on this question for about 2 weeks. And eventually I just got to the point where I sold my lounge room furniture, sold my TV in my lounge, rang the bank, got a $6,000 personal loan, and then I went all in with him. And that was really where I got introduced to the game of paid advertising. We're running like a 28-day challenge, like a bait and switch, upselling people into the high ticket on the back end. And within 18 months, we'd done about 1.2 million in sales and scaled a company called Supermums Elite to 445 clients. But the biggest thing that I learned inside of that process was I became obsessed about marketing and sales and client delivery systems. So I decided to start a consulting company of my own, which was called Cash Clock Academy. So now I'm running these two businesses at the one time. I've got the online fitness business, the consulting business for fitness coaches, and I began to burn out. So I had to make a decision to drop one of these businesses. So I decided to shut down Supermums Elite overnight, sacrificing all of that recurring revenue to go all in with the consulting business, which is really stupid in hindsight. I should have at least put it on the market for sale.
Yeah, you should have sold it. I'm like, you should have.
I was so inexperienced.
You definitely could have sold it, but I mean, you got to pay ignorant tax somehow, right?
That's exactly what it is. And then, and we started building up Cashflow Academy. It was doing really well. And then I got sold into it was kind of like an agency program where it was done for you. So they'd build my funnels, and they'd write the emails, they'd launch the ads, manage the ads. And when I came in to work with these guys, I kind of came in with a different perspective, and I saw how I was being onboarded and how I was being sold to. And it's like when I first joined, it's like, oh, I got added to ClickUp, and here's like the task. I was like, I could launch a done for you offer for Cash Clock Academy for this business. So I pretty much like modeled the structure that I had just been through, and then pretty much doubled our prices. We started charging 20K, launched a new VSL, and it went mental. We scaled up to about 136 clients. We had the done for you offer, and the revenue was growing massively. But when I got there, I realized I created a monster. We had 12 staff, team of 136 clients who all wanted a piece of me 24/7, endless sales calls. And the worst part was that the profit margins were sitting around 20 to 25%. And it was horrible. So got to a point one day where I was considering bolting on a subscription offer onto the high ticket offer to supplement it, because we had a lot of people on our list that would never be able to afford our high ticket services. And eventually it got to the point where I was like, I wonder what this consulting business would be worth if I put it on the market for sale. So I put it on the market for sale. Long story short, a few months went by, ended up exiting that company, and then went all in with the subscription offer. So we went from charging 20K per client with a team of 12, endless sales calls, so much stress and complexity with the model, at 20% profit, to then blowing up the subscription offer, charging $97 a week with a team of 2, with no sales calls, no DM sales, and 70% profit. And so even though I was generating less revenue with the subscription offer in comparison to the high ticket offer, I was earning more than double the profit with one-tenth of the stress.
Yep.
It's like, this thing's crazy. And, I think we all get into this game. Obviously, we want to impact lives and help people get ahead. But a huge piece of it is freedom, right? Like the freedom to do what you want when you want, and actually make a decent amount of money in the meantime.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah. Now that I've been
How
on
do you
both,
mean for you? Because when you made that pivot, right? And the reason why I was like, I've been so fascinated by it, because I got to see the numbers that you're running and the conversions, and we talked about it. I was like, this is going to be the future. And I'm surprised that more people have not really caught on. There's been a few people who are starting to make the shift, right? Very few people, but nobody's got it packaged the way that you do. So what were like the ins and outs? Like what were the initial challenges when you first launched it? Because I'm sure it wasn't blue skies and rainbows when you first launched the offer. Like
we're doing a whole bunch of different mechanisms. Like we're trying to run like a free challenge that transitioned into trying to get people into the subscription. And then we tried a playbook, and then try to transition that to the free trial. But I've always been so big on VSLs, but more specifically like mini VSLs, like 10-minute VSLs, where it's just like deliver value, showcase testimonials, present an irresistible offer, and then bring them in. So the offer that we rolled with was, it's a free 7-day trial. And the reason why we put the free 7-day trial on the front end was just to eliminate as much risk and friction around the buying process as possible. And then they'd have to actually enter their card details on the checkout page to activate the free 7-day trial. And then after those 7 days, it rolls into $97 USD per week, and they can cancel anytime. But the interesting thing is that on the inside of the subscription offer is we have this ecosystem with like an array of different bolt-ons for our subscription buyers to buy from. So we have like 3 different one-to-one consulting offers. We're selling Go High Level as a SaaS. We've got done for you marketing, done for you copywriting, done for you funnel design. There's affiliates. And we also have like this internal referral partnership program on the inside as well, which runs on auto.
Okay.
And so all those things like contribute to the MRR, or we charge weekly. So I think that's like a little secret hack.
Yeah, I know for the week. So do you actually build them weekly, or is it like
weekly?
Pricing is structured as a weekly breakdown, but it's paid.
We build them weekly. And it feels different because like the now price is like, it's $400 a month versus it's $100 a week. It's like, people can get started with a lower barrier to entry, but you're still collecting this. In fact, you're collecting more if they stay.
Yeah, you are actually collecting more.
Yeah.
You're actually collecting quite a bit more if you bill weekly versus you actually even collect more if you bill bi-weekly versus monthly. All right.
Yeah, true. Yep. And yeah, so that's the acquisition piece. And what we like to do is run the free 7-day trial that rolls into like $50 a week or $97 a week, cancel anytime, to validate the offer. And then once we've validated the offer, then what we do is we create a self-liquidating offer funnel where it might be like a $27 product on the front end, 2 bump offers, and all that's liquidating the ad spend. OTO1 is bringing them in for a minimum term of commitment. So this is no cancel anytime, no trial. Brings them in for, say, 26 weeks. We can charge more. So we're charging $197 USD per week for Fit Pro University on a 26-week commitment as the OTO. If they say no thanks, it takes them to a downsell page, which says, hey, you just clicked no. Was it the price? And we offer them Fit Pro University for 50% off. Now it's $98 US a week for 26 weeks with a client agreement, no cancel anytime. And yeah, pretty cool.
Oh, that is so good. So essentially, and then all of this is happening on autopilot. So what does the onboarding look like when somebody goes through that and actually get onboarded?
Yeah, so the crazy thing is that, we talk about, we have a team of 2, which is myself and a VA. From the client's perspective, it looks like we've got a big team. We've got a marketing guy who does a marketing call each week, a group coaching call on Zoom. Same with the copywriting guy. We've got like an accountability coach who runs 3 welcome group calls per week, and those act as like the group onboarding calls. But from the client's perspective, it's like, man, there's a big team here. The marketing guy, all he does is 1 live training per week in the group, and he gets paid like $120 New Zealand, which is like 70 USD. But from the client's perspective, they think that it's like it gives the illusion that there's a massive team on board, and we're still providing an enormous amount of value, but they're not kind of in the weeds, responding back, providing support and stuff like that. It's all tackled on the group calls.
That's very cool. So you essentially structure it in a way where everything is. The name of the game for your business model is high leverage, right?
Yeah.
Like high leverage, little to no input on the front end, big value output on the back end. And then how do you structure it in a way where you're doing it in a way where like the clients for $97 a week, they're getting all these like support calls that they have access to. They have access to all these playbooks. That's a ton of value because what they would be paying, they're used to paying like $2,000 to $3,000 a month for some of these high ticket programs that have less support, right? Or less access to being able to jump on calls to get the support that they need. And then for you, those guys are contractors. So you're not like,
Yeah.
obviously you have to vet them and make sure that they're good. Right. But you're not managing them. Like they're not clocking in or clocking out or having to answer to you. So they have the flexibility and they have leverage as well. Right. And then you have all these little ancillary bolt-ons and add-ons. Like walk me through some of those. Like I know you have like the software add-on that people can get, and then the done for you builds. Are you doing any kind of like done for you service? Or is it just done for you kind of like one-time builds?
No, we just have an agency where we use Charlie, and then we just take over their ad account and we just run the ads and manage Charlie for them. So that's another separate agency offer that we have. We're charging like $2,500 a month. That's pretty good.
I was wondering how that fit in, but that makes sense. So essentially they're coming in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, Dan, you are a sneaky guy. Like you.
And so all these bolt-ons, we have a separate course in the sidebar called Leveraged Expertise, where we have the done for you marketing, copywriting. But then when I take them through the lesson in the curriculum that goes through like building the funnel, right at the start, I'll mention again, if you want our in-house funnel designer to just go through and just make this look sexy as fuck, and then I put the link below once again.
And the thing about it is your funnels are actually really freaking sexy.
Thanks to my funnel designer.
Yeah, so I'm probably gonna need to hit you up on some of that because I've looked at some of your funnels like, man, this is like this. Your funnels are really, really good. So they get that quality of design through you, right? And so that's a one-off. What are you guys charging for that on the inside?
I think it's something like $6.99 USD, and it's a big funnel. But even like the base template, like that alone looks really sexy. It's more so like the graphics that need to be changed. Like we've got these cartoon versions of myself like holding money with a laptop and stuff. Like there's really cool stuff throughout the funnel. And you know, all of these clients that are coming on to Subscription Kings, because we just launched at the start of this month, you know, all of them have a high ticket offer as well. So they're using the subscription offer to complement the high ticket offer. So we've got a piece inside of what we teach through like the Ascension model, where it's like we're marketing results from the high ticket program into the subscription community to create FOMO, because the goal is we want to ascend a percentage of customers into clients, bringing high ticket clients in for interviews, all those sorts of things to ascend as many people as possible on the back
That's
end.
very cool.
Yeah.
Because then, especially even for you, especially with the Subscription Kings, one, real quick for those who don't know, what is this, the Subscription King offer? Like, what does that entail?
Subscription Kings is basically bolting on a subscription offer onto a high ticket business to add an extra 30 to 50K per month in profit without taking sales calls at 70% profit too.
So essentially, you're going to help them bolt that on. And then the cool thing about what you kind of have set up there is because it's a lot of like high ticket business owners and different types of business owners, you get this really awesome networking effect and collaboration effect that some of your clients can have, but you don't necessarily get to have when you're running a fitness mastermind, because everyone's in the same boat and some of them are competing at some capacity.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. So once they figure something out, they're not really like super keen to share with just everyone.
Yeah, gatekeeping all of it.
All right. Versus this, you get that you don't have that because you have different types of people with different offers coming in. So even your high ticket clients, there's a real value in them coming in and getting interviewed in front of the community, because now they get different sets of eyes on them and what they do. And there might be some people there who are like, oh, I need that, and they end up doing business with them.
Yeah. And the people that we're attracting to Subscription Kings, like they're very high caliber human beings. You know, a lot of them are doing over $100,000 a month in so many different random industries. Like one guy helps videographers land real estate deals, you know, like videography deals in Australia. He's doing over $100K a month with that offer. I'm like, this is insane. So it's really awesome seeing like all the different offers and markets that are coming in to work with us. And yeah, it's
on that side, have you met, and how different is the process that you've set up for like acquiring like subscription clients or customers? Is it the stuff that we're using for your business, right? Even inside of Fitbro University, how has that translated? Have you found it to be like, wow, like it's translated very well across a different vertical, even though these are completely different avatars?
extremely well. Extremely well. And one of the biggest things is that, you know, a lot of the people that come on to work with us is they have existing assets. So they have a big email list, or they might have an Instagram following or a Facebook group filled with people that have initially put their hand up to show some kind of interest in a solution. So before we even run ads to cold traffic, we do something called the phishing net, which is like a huge promo sequence to the email list, Instagram following, retargeting ads. So we'd run a huge launch before we even go to a cold market, which does really well.
Yeah. And then, I mean, if they set up their funnels right with the pixels and all those things, that bad boy starts to get trained with their organic and their warm market. And then when they start running their cold traffic, Facebook is like, okay, let me serve it up to all these leads that are similar to these people that are hitting the pixel.
Yeah, the Facebook conversion API is insanely good. You know, I used to use like Hyros and stuff, and it's amazing. Don't get me wrong, but for anyone out there who like wants to save $1,000 a month, like install a Facebook conversion API inside of the workflow and go high level. It's pretty accurate. Yeah, it never misses.
And the cool thing about it, even because with high level, if somebody's not using high level, we'll probably put a link for you to get a high level account. The nice thing with high level though is that it natively integrates with Facebook And the attribution, because you can see it knows as soon as a lead comes in, right, where it came from. If you integrate your Facebook account with it, and then when you set up the conversion pixel integration using the workflow, it's pretty damn accurate.
GHL is a game changer. Before that, I was like, ClickFunnels here and Active Campaign there. It was just like, Active Campaign alone was charging me like $1,000 a month. It's like the more contacts.
Yeah, their email service is ridiculous.
Insane.
So with the Subscription Kings, what if somebody, does it matter what CRM they're using? Can they run this? Like, let's say there's some accounts who are running an entire business on HubSpot and things like that, or they're using ClickFunnels. Does it matter? Do they have to use GHL, or can they just stick with their current tech stack and just implement the business model?
They could definitely stick with HubSpot, but the only downside with that is that we can't transfer our workflows and our funnels into their HubSpot account because we've built out a snapshot in Go High Level. But I'm sure one of our tech coaches would be more than happy to build everything from the ground up. It might just be a one-off fee or something like that.
Got it. So essentially with Subscription Kings, if they want it out the box, right? We're talking like the email for the fishnet. We're talking the funnel templates. We're talking like the workflows. Everything out the box. You've already have that pretty much beautifully packaged up inside of a snapshot.
Everything's pre-built. The curriculum walks them through step by step how to customize everything. It's very seamless. And with Subscription Kings, I'm planning on like cutting it at 60 members. I've realized I don't want to build like a $10 million a year business, and I don't want to hire, a client success director. People are like, why? I'm like, I haven't built a fucking subscription business, So I just want to keep it lean and just focus on quality. And I'll probably cap it at 60. And then from that point, I'll probably just like roll out a wait list or something like that.
And then if your clients start to get really good results, you can open it up and maybe even do like a cohort, right? Where you open cart for a specific period of time and then they can come in. But it sounds like for you, this is more of kind of like a lifestyle play where it's more of like a passion. You're not trying to blow this thing up. You don't want 20,000 users on a subscription. It's like you want to keep it pretty intimate.
Yeah, and I found that, the more people scale up, the more complexity and usually I experienced it with the old company as we grew so fast, we just couldn't handle the growth, and it was just so much complexity. And I've just realized I don't want that. I used to think that's what I wanted because everyone else told me that's what they wanted. But I realized, nah.
And that's one of those things where people kind of have to get to that point the hard way. All right. So for you, you realize like you're not trying to build a $50 million a year business, or I think a lot of people see Hormozy and guys that have like came up in this space like we did, right? And have gone to these heights and like, oh, I want that, or I need to aim for that. But you don't have to. Like you can build a very good business that's very profitable, that supports the lifestyle that you want, supports your family. And then you can take the money that you're making from that, and we'll talk about this later, but deploy it into assets that make money to support it, right? So you get to a point where, and I think the beautiful place where you're going to eventually get to is like when you have, you start investing the profits that you're getting from the business into cash flowing assets that are actually passive. And then it gets to a point where those start supporting your lifestyle. And then now everything that comes from the business is just play money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you can start really thinking about, okay, how do I want to structure this long term? Maybe I want to bring in a couple people that could potentially run this entire thing for me. And then I just focus on being able to be more intimate with the clients and be more, but you get a lot of options. And I think that's kind of what people really want. The online space has been so burned by just the high ticket business model of like having a massive sales team and having a bunch of setters and VAs and client success managers and customer service reps and all these things. And I'm seeing that across the board. Like people are starting to get really, really burnt out because it's turn and burn.
Quietly. Like I jumped on a call with somebody the other day. I don't usually take calls, but I know this girl. Jumped on a call with her. She's doing $3 million a year. I think she's doing like $250,000 a month. her expenses are 195 grand a month. And she's like, I'm still pocketing maybe like 50, 55 grand a month, but there's not much room for error.
There's really not. And they're getting burnt out, and they're getting like the amount of pressure that puts on you. They're running a promotional company. They're not actually they're running a promotional company, meaning like they have to keep selling nonstop. Otherwise, the shit stops. Like it sinks.
The thing with, I think one of the biggest challenges with, charging high ticket is like managing client expectations. Like, we've had a done for you client that we ran ads for and built the system out for. He sent me quite a rude email saying, I want out. So I looked at his KPIs. He spent $2,300 on ads since we launched. He collected $17,000 and it was contracted was like 24 grand or something, but he wasn't happy. I was like, were you expecting like a 20x ROAS or like?
Yeah. Like what? Are you mental? What?
What are you doing?
Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
But that's the challenge with the high tickets, because they're paying high tickets, so they expect, everything. They expect you to save their business and turn water to wine, pull all these hat tricks, all these tricks out up your sleeves. It's ridiculous.
And the sales team will just pitch anyone because they want the commissions, and then you end up dealing with, the different levels of people that come through. If you only want 8 players, you're going to get, I can be really firm with my closers back in the day and say, hey, do not pitch done for you to noobs, because they don't get it. They're going to have wild expectations. And then all of a sudden a noob comes in because he's pitched them on 20 grand and the guy said yes.
The beautiful thing about having like a subscription offer where you offer a ton of value, and I think that's really the key. Like, I'll get your take on it. What makes a subscription offer really good versus mediocre? Because there's a lot of people that have tried to do the subscription offer and it's failed miserably.
Yeah. I would recommend like hiring a few contractors to run these live trainings where it's like, you're not hiring them full time on a salary. You're just paying them for like a 1 hour Zoom session with your clients in the group. But we have a course, which we create multiple courses and we sort of gamify it. So we lock everything else to get to the next course. They have to fill out a form, post in the group with their biggest lessons. We have things like member of the month. We do monthly workshops, new monthly content. It's got the course, the group calls, the community, monthly content, and then monthly workshops. And we treat it like a Netflix business model, because, Netflix treats their customers as if they could drop off at any given moment. So we always try to build anticipation to keep our subscribers excited for what's coming up in the pipeline. So all of those things have been, and, member of the month, we're sending like merch to like the top of the leaderboard. We build it in school because we can unlock bonus courses and resources as they engage and unlock levels. It's really cool.
That's awesome. So if somebody's interested in working with you on Subscription Kings, what do they need to know about it and how can they get started?
I guess just shoot me a message on Facebook, Daniel Suckling. Cool last name. Or you could just, he's trying not to laugh at or you could just find me on Instagram. It's subscription.kings. You'll see my
Okay, so I'll drop we'll include the links in the show notes. And then anything, if we talk off and there's any resources like a funnel or whatever it is that you want to share where they can get more info, we'll include that in the show notes, but we'll also include like his socials there. But I think what you're building, man, is going to be, I think there's a lot of people drowning quietly and suffering quietly that are going to hear what you have to offer, and it's going to be like a life. It's going to be a breath of fresh air for them. So I'm pumped to get eyes on this, and I think that's where the industry is going. Like information has really become commoditized, and it's about like building relationship, offering value, and giving people a low entry point where they can actually come in and have realistic expectations of outcomes, because they're not paying an arm and a leg and expecting you to quadruple their money. But if they're paying $97 a week, they make one sale
covers their whole
covers the whole year. There's like they make a couple of sales and they're happy, right? And so it allows you to be able to meet people where they're at. And then once they've built the trust in the community, in this, like going through this subscription, consuming information, then you can invite them. If you have a high ticket offer, invite them and then send them up into the high ticket offer. And now you don't even need that becomes pure profit because you're not spending all this money to acquire that client. And you don't need a massive team to actually run that high ticket business now.
Yeah. So much easier to convert a customer into a client as opposed to a lead into a client. If we can bring them in as a customer, i.e. subscription offer, help them make some money first, get them sold on our methodology, build some more trust. Once they achieve a decent win in the subscription and they're in this euphoric state, that's the best time to reach out to them and say, hey, this high ticket offer will be perfect for you.
And then on top of that, you're building out your ideal high ticket client because you can bring on a beginner into the subscription, right? And then they start developing, and as they start becoming more advanced, now it's even easier to get them a win in your high ticket program because they've got all the foundational stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And if you do get some kind of annoying client that you don't want to deal with, they haven't signed a contract on a $20,000 package and you're not met with this fork in the road where it's like, do I give them a $20,000 refund or do I just put up with it? You're just like, boot.
Now you're like, bye. Here's a refund. Here's your $200 refund. Now go kick rocks with open toe shoes and have a wonderful life. All right. But yeah, man, we got to get some eyes on this. And then I want to get people connected with you. I think if you're running a high ticket offer, and that's the requirement, they need to have a high ticket offer, or like what would be an ideal person that you feel really good you can knock it out the park for?
Yeah, high ticket offer obviously has a validated offer, a stack of testimonials and social proof, and ideally doing somewhere between 20 to 30K per month at least. Simply because when we go to run ads, you don't want to be in a place of scarcity, being like, I can only spend $20 a day. We want to do really well for the clients that we work with, but in order to do so, they need to be in a decent financial position to invest into advertising and stuff like that.
That makes sense. So essentially, they got to be in a position where they can actually, they need to be established high ticket business owners. Just kind of like, there's no way around it. So this isn't something that you can really pull off as a true beginner, right? You need to have like one, a validated offer. You need to be good at what you do, have a proven marketing process for acquiring high ticket clients that can be supported with a subscription offer that you can bolt on. And eventually the subscription offer, the goal is for that to replace their current method of acquiring clients. And that becomes a front end acquisition process. And then they ascend the customers into clients after they deliver some type of value up front with the subscription and blown them away and gotten them to a point where it actually makes sense. And they can actually afford your high ticket offer. Like if you help somebody, they sign up for your subscription and they're making like, you get them from $0 to like $10,000 to $20,000 a month. Spending $10,000 on your high ticket offer is nothing. They're happy to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I think it allows the business model to be in alignment across the board and be a win-win-win for everyone involved. All right. Well, Dan, it was great having you on board. For those guys who are listening, again, remember where everything that you need is going to be in the show notes. Look them up on socials, reach out to them. Let them know if you found out about him from the podcast. But ultimately, guys, till next time, stay calm, change lives, and have business on your terms.